The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of Shootin'. Well, you know what? We're big boys now. We're hitting double digits, so I'm not gonna beep it out anymore. We're back with another episode of Shootin' Shit. So, and as you can see, watching this on YouTube, my co-hosts are excited that the big boy pants have finally been put on and stuff. So, normally on our shows, we talk a little bit of everything in the world of pro wrestling, but this episode's going to be a very special episode. Maybe not for the best of reasons. This is going to be a Ring of Honor centric episode. And for those of you who aren't really in the know, it was just announced a couple of days ago that after Final Battle, Ring of Honor is going to be going on hiatus till for about 3 to 4 months. And then they're planning on coming back in a more, I think, fan-centric company. And all of the talent that's currently under contract will either be released from their contracts at after December 31st of this year, or if they're under contract into 2022, I believe it's April. So with me, as always, are my awesome co-hosts. We got the hot one, Jay Minacho, down on the bottom, and to my left here, this one I know is going to be a little bit emotional for him because he's our resident Ring of Honor guy. We got the Premier Joey K. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into it here. This is episode 10 of Shootin' Shit. I just gotta have a reason to play the beep every once in a while. So,
what is wrong with you, dude?
I start piling on the investment money.
yes, that's right. We are back with another episode of Shootin' Shit, and once again, as always, we got the 3-man band here. No, we're not talking about Drew McIntyre, Heath Slater, and Jinder Mahal. We're talking about the real 3-man band. You got myself, the lean, the mean, the 5-star trivia machine, DDJ. Down below, we got the hot one, Jay Minacho, and to the my left, we got the Pacific Island Playboy, the Premier Joey K. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Well, I got to tell you, DDJ, it is a cold, cold day in hell because tonight we get to pay tribute to one of the all-time greatest promotions in wrestling history. A true piece of my heart is broken with the news of the major changes to Ring of Honor, along with the potential that we're never going to have Ring of Honor again, because I think that's a very real possibility. So, you know, the Premier Joey K is having a rough time with this one.
Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing better than the Premier Joey K is.
I think we all are.
I'm getting through. A lot of my good, favorite wrestlers came from Ring of Honor. Kind of feeling it, but I'm just, Joey, I feel for you. Hopes and prayers. We'll get through it.
We got you back, man. We're gonna help you get through this, man.
Oh man, it's good. It's good to be surrounded by the true trios champions of the Shootin' Shit team here. In my time of need, and I appreciate you fellas for that.
We are family. I got my brothers in me.
Wow. All right, we went there. Okay.
There went the episodes.
And if you're still with us after my little song and dance there, thank you so much for just giving up all hope on me. I appreciate that you're still sticking around. So we're going to get right into it. Obviously, with everything going on, I think the first question that we need to ask or discuss on here is, where did it go wrong for Ring of Honor? And I'm going to start this one out. For me, I feel like that it went wrong for Ring of Honor when the contracts of Cody and the Bucks were up, and Ring of Honor or Sinclair Broadcasting, whoever, was in charge of making the decisions of, when it comes to talent and stuff, did not choose to re-sign these three guys because they had kind of really, I think, brought Ring of Honor to a point where I felt like it was at its most popular, where it was legitimately being seen as the number 2 promotion in the US. I mean, Cody and the Bucks, I mean, it was they were the brainchild between, behind All In. Obviously they came up with All In. Ring of Honor provided the money and the production and everything, and that. So, but I just feel like, and this kind of harkens back to an episode we did a few weeks ago when we talked about, could or should Ring of Honor have become what AEW is, and I felt like if Cody and the Bucks had stayed with Ring of Honor, if they were able to re-sign those three guys, obviously Kenny would have come, and a lot of what we see now on, Friday nights with Rampage and Wednesday nights or Saturday nights with Dynamite, we could have been seeing that with Ring of Honor, and maybe everything that we're seeing with, AEW, that could have been Ring of Honor. And I just felt like they really, to me, that's where I feel like it's just where they kind of, when they started on the downward spiral, and it's just they were never able to fully recover from that. And obviously, the pandemic hitting didn't do anybody any favors and stuff, and especially with Ring of Honor, because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joey, but it was about a year and a half between when they did actual events.
Yeah, roughly about that time. They shut down during the pandemic. However, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of fans I did see out there, handled the pandemic probably in one of the best ways they could.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah,
and stuff. So, but yeah, I just feel like, it's just, to me, I think things would have looked drastically different. Like I think the professional wrestling scene would be a completely different, world right now if, Cody and the Bucks had stayed with Ring of Honor, because I think a lot of what they put into AEW, they would have put into Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor may have been, finally gotten on TNT or something like that. Yeah, I know they're owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, but they might have finally been exposed to that bigger audience that I think they really, really needed and stuff. So, Joey K, what about you? Where do you feel like it went wrong for Ring of Honor?
I mean, if I have to really pinpoint it, I think I'm going to go back even further, and I'm really going to go into the purchase of Ring of Honor from Sinclair Broadcasting. I've been reading, and I know that's exactly what Jay was going to say. I knew it, but in this case, I think there's only 2 really major turning points. DJ, you did touch on one already, but this is the other major turning point. I've been reading since the news broke, and I got it right away. What was going on with Ring of Honor with the shutdown, and I couldn't help but read these comments of fan after fan. Well, why didn't Ring of Honor do this? Ring of Honor should have done this. They should have done that. They should have teamed with AEW. They should have, entered the forbidden door. They should have done all these different things. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is the business side of it. They're owned by a major media corporation. And this should be enough to show you the proof of what happens with WWE and their deals with, NBC, Universal, and Fox. You end up getting held over by these major corporate media and entities, and with Sinclair purchasing it, that ties their hands. If Sinclair says no, the answer is no. It's not just the shows might be run like it's the boys in the back are running things, but it really isn't. And that was, I think, the downward spiral, because would you get into the situation with Cody and the Bucks as far as signing them to Ring of Honor and keeping them as the faces there? Would it be different if it were privately owned? Say Kerry was still in charge. I don't know. I can't say what would happen either way. But I know Sinclair at the time brought money in, and it seemed like the right thing. But here, looking back, hindsight being 2020, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't the best idea.
Jay, what about you? You're muted.
Ladies and gentlemen, if for no other reason alone, this topic is why you should listen to us. We hit on this a few weeks ago, and where are we now? We can say that the change happened at the Bucks. We can say the issues were at Sinclair purchasing, but the writing on the wall for Ring of Honor has been there ever since we discussed, like the last time, since 2002. You have the strongest roster of some of the biggest main eventers out there now, and we did nothing with it. You had a second chance with Bucks and Cody. You let them go. You let them prove to you that they could fill out a 10,000 people arena and go all in, which led to them going all out. Ring of Honor's whole issue, and I don't even think it's necessarily just Sinclair. It's just bad decisions. I love Ring of Honor. It's given us a lot of great talent. But whether it be the sale, whether it be corporate entities, Ring of Honor's legacy is bad decisions and bad timing.
Great takes here, guys. So now we talk about with Ring of Honor shutting down. I believe the edict's been handed out that yes, the talent's going to be paid through the end of the year. They are under contract, till the end of the year, at least through Final Battle. But they have been given, from my understanding, and Joey K, as our resident Ring of Honor expert, if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. But I do believe they have been given the green light to start working, in other promotions immediately. And obviously that with all this talent that's about to become available, or essentially is available out there, let's do a little fantasy booking and talk about where some of these Ring of Honor wrestlers should go. And I mean, it's just the roster that they had, up to this point is, got a lot of really great talent. I've, not well known to the, the casual wrestling fan. A lot of, the hardcore fans know more about the talent and that. So let's just take turns. Everybody, we'll say maybe do like a fantasy draft, however you want to kind of word this and stuff, and just pick someone and you say, hey, this is where I think this person should go and why. And Joey K, since you're our resident Ring of Honor guy, you have the first pick of the draft here, and who you got going where and why?
With the top overall pick, that's very, very, very difficult, because I feel like there is an entire group of talent, men and women, that could go to a couple major companies and make instant impact. However, I will say this for the first pick that I will have. Jonathan Gresham. Absolutely. And I would love to see, and I'm very, very torn on this, because there's two companies I think he would thrive in. Number one is Impact, but number two is AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Gresham, what he brings to the table is something completely different than a lot of other talent. He's been the champion, and not just the champion of the division, but the champion to everyone of bringing pure wrestling back to the forefront in Ring of Honor. What he did for the pure division for the period of time that he held the title, let alone going through the tournament to crown a new pure champion, and then defending that title nonstop on show after show throughout the pandemic era. he's a guy that could go to realistically, let's be honest, any company and make an impact outside of WWE. WWE is the only place I could see that he wouldn't make an impact, and realistically, it's because of his size. Yep. And we all know that. Everybody knows Vince McMahon would never want to touch anything with him because he doesn't have the size that Vince looks for. But
what a size!
What?
He's such a sizist.
He is. He's a size queen for sure. But Gresham is, but his talent in the ring is undeniable. And we've said this about countless other wrestlers, guys like Adam Cole when he was in NXT. When your talent is undeniable, it shines through. You don't need that size. He has the charisma. He has the skills. He has the ring skills. I mean, it's all there, but that's Gresham to me. Number one pick, and I'd love to see him in AEW. I'd love to see him bring the pure division to AEW. AEW is the home for a lot of different things, and I could go down the whole list, and I won't right now because we're all going to take shots here on this, but I could go down an entire list and say this person would work because of this in AEW. Mm-hmm. This person work because of this in AEW, and it goes on. So number one, Jonathan Gresham. That's my pick.
Jay, I'm gonna give you the number 2 pick. Who you got going where and why?
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Let's see. With the number 2 pick, WWE's NXT brand takes the future of pro wrestling. The WWE NXT brand drafts the current pure champion. If for no reason at all, he has the look they love. He has an amazing work rate. He is very young.
Hey, real quick, just for those of you, because me and Joey K were reacting pretty favorably in a shocking manner to this pick. I don't know if a lot of you may have heard who Jay was picking, but he was going with the current Ring of Honor pure champion, and that would be Josh the Goods Woods. So I just wanted to make sure people knew about that. So carry on, Jovan.
Oh yeah, man. No, you sent him into NXT, let him learn Vince's system. That's a top guy. That's someone that Vince will get behind. He will push him to the damn moon. To the moon.
To the moon.
But yeah, he makes all sense in the world to NXT. That is Josh the Goods Woods.
All right, now coming up in the fantasy booking draft or whatever you want to call this little segment here, and we'll go like 3 rounds here, just because we could do a whole show on this and stuff, and maybe somewhere down the line we will. But for me, go with the 3rd pick in this draft, whatever you want to call it. AEW selects the Briscoe brothers because. Right now, I mean, the Briscoe brothers are probably the greatest, when it comes to tag teams in Ring of Honor history. It's the Briscoe brothers and then everybody else. I mean, I believe they're like 10, 11-time tag team champions. And don't be surprised if you hear me talking about the Briscoes a little bit later, in one of our topics here. But I mean, they basically, have done everything that there is to do in Ring of Honor. I mean, I believe, they're tag team champions. I know both men have held the Ring of Honor heavyweight championship. I believe, I'm pretty sure Mark is a former TV champion. Did Jay ever hold that belt, Joey?
I want to say yes, and I might be wrong because Jay is slightly older than Mark.
Right.
So, and a point on them, if they're, and just to back you up, DDJ, if anybody is Ring of Honor and carries that name, it's the Briscoes. You're talking about Jay Briscoe. He was on the card the second match, night 1, first show, February 23rd, 2002, in the old ECW arena in Philly. And that right there, I mean, that should tell you they're Ring of Honor till the end, and essentially they are.
Yep.
I believe Jay's held singles as well too. I think he's held the TV title. I can't even remember how many times they've been tag team champions, but absolutely go on, DDJ.
But yeah, I mean, you just imagine putting them, in that, because obviously you can't have them go to WWE because they don't give a shit about tag team wrestling, and that. But I just feel like with all the tag teams that AEW has, you look at obviously the Young Bucks, who they have a history with. You look at the Lucha Brothers, Matt and Mike Sydal, FTR. I mean, FTR versus the Briscoes. I mean, I think you're just looking at tag team dream match after dream match after dream match. If you put the Briscoes in AEW, and I just think that, like, if anything makes sense in terms of where these Ring of Honor guys should go, I think it's a slam dunk to see the Briscoes go to AEW, and I think enjoy a tremendous amount of success there. All right, let's go into round 2 here. Joey K, who you got with your next pick?
Oh, just a side note too. Jay has been the Ring of Honor champion twice, by the way, in singles.
Right,
career.
But he never won the TV title, right?
I don't think he won the TV title.
But I know Mark has done both. He's won both the TV and the world title, correct?
I don't know if Mark's won the world title. I know he's won the TV title, but not the world. I don't think.
I'll look it up here while you're.
Double check that. Fact check me on that.
All right.
Number 2 pick. I'm gonna piss both of you off because if we're fantasy drafting and fantasy booking, I'm using WWE rules. So I will draft a whole damn faction for this one.
I know where he's going.
And I am going to send my personal favorite faction, Violence Unlimited, and I'm sending them to AEW. And for a specific reason. Now, I coin toss this, dude. Would I send them to New Japan? I would love to. But that forbidden door is still open, so that leaves possibilities there. But I go with AEW for the national exposure in the US. You have, in my opinion, something AEW does need because they're very, very, very limited on this. And you start at the top with the leader of Violence Unlimited, Brody King. AEW does not have a large amount of monster type heels in their company. They don't have many monster type faces. They don't have that kind of big man mentality, but it can be used so well with the talent that they do have on their roster. And I think Brody King right now is one of the premier talents for his size, for his look, everything he has going. So I'd love to see him in AEW on a singles run, in a faction, either way. Tony Deppen is somebody who should be signed to a major promotion. I've been championing this for a long, long time. He's amazing, a great talent. Watch anything he does in GCW. I mean, the guy is absolute money every time he gets in the ring. Chris Dickinson is another guy, and he's actually one where I really teetered on the fence. I mean, the work he's been putting in New Japan Strong has been amazing. Javon, I think you can agree with that too, watching New Japan Strong. He's unreal. I love that shoot fight style. It's very reminiscent of that, I will say it. I will put it out there. A young Minoru Suzuki, King of Pancrase. I mean, he's got a very more Americanized style, but the similarities. Good.
Kind of like Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. He has that Shamrock style. I just think more so than Shamrock, he has a huge respect and love for the Japanese strong style. So I do see a little more modeling there, but absolutely that Ken Shamrock style in the late 90s WWF run he had, even currently when he still pops up in Impact. I mean, and then of course, last but certainly not least, Homicide. And we've already seen Homicide pop up in AEW, which is great. And this is the best part about AEW. This is why I like AEW. They have a little something for everybody. You can have a monster heel in Brody King that can really get into a world title feud, particularly with a smaller champion. which right now it looks like we're going to have a smaller champion, whether it be Kenny Omega, whether it be Hangman Page, whether it be Bryan Danielson, or anybody really. That's one. Tony Deppen, I mean, perfect guy for the TNT title to have a good run in there. Chris Dickinson, I don't want this to have a terrible connotation because on a previous episode I said AEW doesn't have a mid card and they need one. They need one desperately. You know, they're so in the business of making everybody a huge star, but not having that mid card where you can have a guy, have fans just organically get behind him and build him up to that star. That's where AEW lacks, and that's where I see Chris Dickinson being that guy who can come in and just, a lot of fans will be like, who's this guy? Who's that? I want to see more of him. I want to see more. You're going to get into the GCW stuff. You're going to see the Ring of Honor stuff. And then Homicide. You already have Moxley. You have Kingston. And now you can have Homicide. I mean, and they're very, very much on the same page, very much in that similar style. And AEW fans eat it up. They love it. It's a little flavor for everybody in an entire faction. And of course, AEW is really the premier home for factions, from the Elite to the Inner Circle to the Pinnacle. You have factions, or Death Triangle. I mean,
Dark Order, Best Friends.
I don't talk about those losers. Anyway, no, no, but here, on all seriousness, yes, you have like so many factions, and then to bring in Violence Unlimited, who base their entire faction on just there's honor in violence and just beating everyone's ass. You know, basically, in my opinion, what Team Taz should be. Mm-hmm. Beat me if you can, survive if I let you mentality, and it's perfect. So I think Violence Unlimited to AEW and having the door open to New Japan, potentially still Impact if they work out that partnership some more and have that continue on. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have a lot of upside on it.
Jay, who you got for your pick?
With my second round pick, AEW addresses one of their most glaring needs in all of the company. AEW takes Roxy.
Oh.
She's young. She's got great in-ring skills for the amount of time that she's been training, the amount of time she's been going. She looks like a damn star now. Put her with AEW. Let her get some time with Deeb, and we can have a rejuvenated women's division that they so desperately want, that they keep trying to make happen. Throw in somebody with the ability of Roxy. The matchups will be amazing.
I like that.
That's a great pick.
That's a really good one. So for the last pick in the second round, I've been kind of trying to think about which way I want to do with this and stuff. And honestly, I'm gonna go with this one here, and it might be a bit of a shocker. I'm gonna go with going back to Impact Wrestling, because I feel like he, at the time when he was there before, he had a decent run in the X division, but I think, you know what, he could go in there now, and he's gone out enough to make his name in there. I'm going with Black Machismo, Jay Lethal, going back to Impact Wrestling.
Was that everybody's next pick?
I kind of feel like it was, because Jay was probably my next pick.
I mean, and again, I talked about the Briscoes. You know, don't be surprised if I talk about the Briscoes later. Same thing goes for Jay Lethal. I mean, what is there that hasn't been said about Jay Lethal in terms of just how, what he's meant to Ring of Honor? Basically just throughout his time there, these last few years. I mean, for a while, he had a dominating run as both the World Heavyweight Champion as well as the World Television Champion. And, I mean, he was leader of the foundation with, Jonathan Gresham, Rhett Titus, and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, and just a phenomenal faction and stuff. But, I mean, it's just, to me, I feel like Jay Lethal deserves a shot at the big time with, like, say, AEW. But I just feel like at this time right now, I just don't know if they would have a spot for Jay, like where I think he would be able to shine like he deserves to. And I just feel like he would be, I feel like he could find his way to AEW and have some success there. But like right now, as is, I just feel like AEW has so much talent. I almost feel like Lethal may get lost in the shuffle. But I mean, you look back at his time in Impact Wrestling, and I mean, he was a cornerstone of the X division, both as Jay Lethal as well as, you know, the very entertaining Black Machismo gimmick, which he brought to, you know, All In, and I legit popped for that. But I mean, I just feel like he could go there, and he could show up on Impact. Say, I know they're taped, you know, a few weeks in advance, but he could theoretically show up this week on Impact, be like, you know what, I'm next in line for a world title shot against Jovan's favorite guy, Moose, and I would buy it because that's how much I believe in Jay Lethal. So I feel like Jay Lethal going to Impact would be the smart way to go. All right, so we're going to go one more round here because, again, we could do this all night, and I really don't want to be up all night. I'm sure Joey and Jovan don't want to be up all night and stuff. So first pick of the last round, Joey K, who you got?
We up to what, third pick now?
Yeah, this is round 3.
God. It's so hard because I like my love for the Ring of Honor roster is pretty deep. I don't think there's anybody on that roster from bottom of the card to the top that I wouldn't enjoy somewhere. But I think I'm going to have to go with probably a choice that you guys have already thought of. But just based on current popularity, and the more I watch him, the more I do enjoy everything he does. And number 3 is, if AEW does not sign Danhausen to a contract, then I don't think I want to watch pro wrestling anymore, because he's already over in AEW and he's not even on their roster. Let's be real. Everybody loves Danhausen. He's funny. His ring work is good. He can put on good matches, and you already have that type of fun gimmicks. You have, I mean, think of it, the hype behind AEW when they signed Orange Cassidy. That was a big thing. You have built in, I mean, and Danhausen, to his credit, the guy markets himself so well. The videos he produces, I mean, there's a gift for everything. You look, search gifts and that you're trying to send. There's a Danhausen gift for every occasion in your life already. And, his one of the best selling shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees this week is the shirt with him and MJF on it together. I mean, come on. You have so many good things to do with Danhausen. It's an absolute crime if he doesn't end up on AEW. Don't even say he signed. Don't even say Danhausen is all elite. I don't want to see that. I just want to see him wander into the backstage and doing something ridiculous with MJF, cutting a serious promo and, just showing up and just foiling everybody. I would love that. And don't even say he signed. Sign him, but don't tell anybody. Just let it go. Just let it happen.
Hey, maybe so. Since we want to keep drafting all this, maybe we can pull a WWE and just announce a bunch of picks on our social media, like the supplemental draft or something. But I mean, that'd be down. But yeah, we could almost do a special on just that and stuff. So, all right, Hot One, what do you got for your last pick?
For the final pick of our live recorded draft.
Live recorded.
Like that?
I do. That's what you call oxymoron.
Right. The WWE main roster takes something that they've wanted for a very long time. The WWE is always about selling merchandise, and the WWE has wanted a masked wrestler for so long to be able to push masks again.
My guy.
And WWE loves their big guys.
Oh, okay, maybe it's not.
Oh, yeah, no. This is not going where you think it's going. The WWE
I know where it's going, but
will take Roosh.
I knew exactly where that was
Okay,
going.
I like that. I like that.
Now I know what DDJ was thinking too.
Oh, I thought I do too.
Yeah, but also, Joanne, I knew what you were thinking. I knew where you were going to go with that one. We've had this discussion before.
Yeah, we have.
Yep. WWE has wanted that Mexican crossover superstar to replace Rey Mysterio for so long. They tried to manufacture Sin Cara to be it. They tried to make Hunico Sin Cara to do it.
Del Rio.
Del Rio. Roosh could be that guy. He has a badass mask. That thing will sell.
That's a perfect take on that.
That's a really.
You're 100% right. WWE has tried to get Rey Mysterio's own son to be the next Rey Mysterio. So that's how desperate they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and so I got a couple ways I could go with this last one and stuff, and I think both of them make sense. But I'm gonna go with the one that I've been thinking about, and the one that I feared that Jovan was going to steal from me. And my last pick, I'm gonna go with this is what I got. So with the last pick in the last round of this little live recorded draft that we got going on here, MLW selects current Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Bandito. And the reason why I go with this is one of the biggest parts of MLW is the Lucha Libre wrestlers that they have on there. I've been to a couple of MLW shows when they've been in this suburban Chicago area, and obviously, Chicago's got a very large Hispanic population, and both shows we went to, they were in full force. Masks, signs, those annoying air horns, and stuff. But I mean, but they love, MLW loves their Lucha Libre. I mean, you look at who they have, right now. They've got, Mil Muertes from Lucha Underground. They've got so many, they've got Gringo Loco. They got all these like luchadors that are up and coming and just, trying to make their way. And I just feel like that would be like the most logical place for Bandito to go, because you could say like, I loved your reasoning and your logic behind having Roosh go to the WWE because of the merchandise. And there's a chance that, Bandito mask will sell well as well too, because much like Roosh, he has his very own unique, Lucha Libre mask. He's got basically the face covering, not the head covering, but the face covering with like the little, like the little bandit mask that, the old, like the old Western robbers would wear, the banditos and stuff. But I just feel like he would be a case of, like you said, a Sin Cara, the new Sin Cara, and basically every single person they've tried to make the next Rey Mysterio. And I just feel like he may come in like a ball of fire, but that flame would burn out pretty quickly in the WWE. And I just feel like with MLW's focus on Lucha Libre and their Lucha Libre talent, I think Bandito would be a great great fit for MLW.
That's a good call. I love that we got an MLW pick in.
It harkens back to the many conversations we've had, which is why it's such a great time to be a wrestling fan, because there's literally a promotion out there for everyone. And I mean, we got to try to show all these promotions love. MLW's had been making headlines as well too, because they've gotten rid of a few talents recently, not on the scale of Ring of Honor and that, but they've released a few talents. But like I said, I feel like that would be a great pick. And this is actually kind of fun. I mean, maybe we might carry on with this maybe in a special episode or something down the line, a little bit of a tease or something. But stay tuned to us. We'll keep you updated, either through our own social medias, which you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can get it in the episode description if you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, Google, or whatever. We may actually kind of go into this a little bit more and, maybe take a look at the entire roster and speak on where we think they should go. But well, we spent enough time playing fantasy draft here, so let's have a little bit more fun and let's talk about this. So there have been a ton of talent that have come through the doors of Ring of Honor throughout the years, from 2002 to, just recently. You go all the way to 2002, like the first few shows you talk about Jay Briscoe, Bryan Danielson, Christopher Daniels. Hell, I believe weren't like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio on one of the first Ring of Honor shows?
Yeah, I think Eddie was on one, right?
Yeah, I believe Eddie was, and I thought Ray might have been too. Before Eddie went back to the WWE and Ray got signed by WWE. Mm-hmm. But you go all the way to the here and now, and you look at guys like Roosh, you look at guys like Jonathan Gresham, Dak Draper, Roxy, Max the Impaler, the Allure. I mean, there's just so many talents out there that have come throughout the years and stuff, and we all have our guys that we like, and this is what makes wrestling great. Because again, much like right now, there's a promotion out there for everyone. There's talents out there that everybody identifies with, and I think one of the things that's going to be really good about this little piece here is I expect us to have very few matching. Like we're going to pick the same guys because I think we all, obviously Joey K's our Ring of Honor guy and stuff. And I'll admit, I've only been, really following Ring of Honor for, for about the last 10 or so years. So I can't really speak, much before that. But guys, we talk about all these guys that have come through the ring, and we're going to let Joey K lead off on this one again, because Ring of Honor is his promotion. So your 5 favorite Ring of Honor wrestlers in no particular order. Joey K, what do you got?
So I love that this question is our 5 favorites, because my favorites can change daily. I've said that plenty of times already. Not saying who the best ever is or the top, ranking in an order. So in no particular order, I'll start, and I'm going to jump around through Ring of Honor history a little bit. But number 1 on my list for tonight, I'm going to go with CM Punk. We don't have CM Punk Summer of Punk 2011. We don't have Summer of Punk 2021 without Summer of Punk 2005. And Ring of Honor made CM Punk a star. And anyone who doubts that, you're wrong. Just flat out wrong. CM Punk came up and became the Punk that everyone wanted to see, obviously, in the late 2010 to 2011 WWE era, when he finally broke out and became the top star of the biggest company in the world. However, that is a CM Punk that for some of us got to see in early 2000s. The Summer of Punk 05, the farewell tour, if you will, before he went to WWE in the first place, changed the landscape for good. Because that's why we talk about incessantly. Look at look at the fingerprints that Ring of Honor has in the wrestling world. So many top talents in every single company come from Ring of Honor, and CM Punk really leads the charge. His body of work speaks for himself, but I encourage anybody who is a new Punk fan from AEW, who loved seeing CM Punk from the pipe bomb promo of 2011 and winning the title in Chicago and leaving, go back and watch Ring of Honor 03, 04, 05 CM Punk. And I think you're going to be in for a real treat. You're going to see some amazing matches. Hands down, one of the best periods of wrestling, in my opinion. Another person in my top 5, very easy, Bryan Danielson. And I compare this to right now today, as we record this late Friday, early Saturday morning, just watched Rampage, and I just got to witness another epic match from Bryan Danielson. I hope everybody enjoyed the Eddie Kingston match as much as I did. And I really hope that people are enjoying this Bryan Danielson run that he's having in AEW, where he's finally breaking out of the Daniel Bryan WWE version and going back to throwing out some classic stuff that he used to wrestle and do in Ring of Honor. That young, fresh, up and coming kid who was fearless, who was just absolutely, in my opinion, one of the best technical wrestlers, a pure champion. Not enough can be said, and we're getting to see this renaissance of that time period now. It just made me think about it more, especially if thinking of my top 5 favorites from Ring of Honor. Number 3, again, in no particular order, one of the greatest tag teams of all time in professional wrestling. I don't care promotion, don't care anything. And names that are synonymous, like I've already said tonight, with Ring of Honor, the Briscoes.
Which, by the way, fact check, Jay won the Ring of Honor World Championship twice. They were also 6-man tag team champions with Bully Ray once, and then 11-time World Tag Team champions. So I swore Mark had more success for the singles and stuff, but yeah, just about the Jay stuff. I just found that, and I was just waiting for the right time to bring that in. So carry on with your.
Yeah, I could have swore Mark won a singles title.
I'm going to look that up just to double check and see.
Yeah.
But I'll keep going.
So the Briscoes, when you think Ring of Honor, there's a handful of names that come to mind. But the top of my list are the Briscoes because, like I said, they were there the first night for Ring of Honor, and they're going to be there the last night for Ring of Honor at Final Battle in a month, a little over a month. And I can't wait. I honestly can't. Seeing them on TV, on a pay-per-view, does not give justice to what they actually do in front of a live crowd and in the ring. I said this to my some friends. I said this to my brother as we watched them. You have to experience a Briscoe match up close. They don't hold back. They work stiff. They don't care. They are a throwback to a different era of professional wrestling, a different generation. That's not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick. They're not playing characters. They're not playing pretend. What you see are 2 wild redneck chicken farmers from Delaware who don't care about anyone or anything, and they're just out there to whoop some ass and have a good time. And I would be hard pressed to find anybody else who is synonymous with Ring of Honor as the Briscoes. I think and of anybody too, they deserve a major national run in a company. Whether it be AEW, I don't even care if it's WWE. I want to see the Briscoes on a national television show weekly. Number 4, Samoa Joe. I can't think about early Ring of Honor without a young Samoa Joe becoming the Samoa Joe we think about now. I know a lot of his time is synonymous with TNA Impact, and rightfully so. But that early phase of the dominant, unstoppable force, Samoa Joe came from Ring of Honor. So he's on my list of one of my top 5 favorites. And last but not least, I'm going to go absolutely current, and I'm going to say Jonathan Gresham. He's one of my current favorites. And for me, whether this is truly the end or if Ring of Honor does happen to return in some sort of fashion, that I believe I've read that they say they're going to work with talent on an independent level, meaning they're going to book guys for a show just like a regular independent show would, bring them in. They're not going to have exclusive contracts. You're not going to be signed to a company. They're just going to bring you in on a per show basis, which is understandable, especially since it looks like Sinclair is the one who's dropping Ring of Honor. So that funding isn't going to be there. But Jonathan Gresham is a different type of wrestler, a different type of talent. I love the gimmick. I love his style, but mostly that's a guy where I can watch a match and get lost. And if I say that, that means I'm really enjoying it. typically I've been a wrestling fan, and like a lot of us are, we get a little jaded. You find out so much more about the business. You can watch things, you can see when people, when something's botched, you can tell a lot of things. But if you can watch somebody and they get in the ring and you can watch a talent and you just get lost in the match, that's for me, especially too, 35, probably 35, 36 years of being a wrestling fan. If you can do that to me now, as I'm pushing 40, hats off to you, because that doesn't happen very much. But Jonathan Gresham's one of those talents, especially now that I can watch a match and I just get completely lost in the match and enjoy it, bell to bell. And nobody, and I do mean goddamn nobody, has a cooler mask than Jonathan Gresham coming out.
I love that mask.
That absolute, the octopus, the Cthulhu looking style mask that he wears to the ring. That hands down. I thought the Fiend mask was pretty cool when it first debuted, but nobody has anything on Gresham's mask. So right now, that's my current, I would say, my top 5 favorite Ring of Honor wrestlers.
All right, Jay, what do you got?
Man, it's hard. Joey K just hit a lot of real good options. To be honest, a lot of his 5 is really close to my 5 with the additions and subtractions of some. So I may not even give a full 5 because we're going to cross a lot of who we like. To add on to Joey's list, who I like, of course, I got to give it up for the man Moose. A lot of people forget Moose started really getting to where he was at in ROH. He was real green when he got there. He started really making his bones, kind of getting there, and then he's in Impact now, right? But Moose, one of my personal favorites, ROH, did him a lot of good. I think taking the next step here, I'm going to say, as much as I didn't like this person, I think the reason I didn't like them is more because of the character. And I think I like that heel from him. That's Matt Taven. Never a big fan of Taven, but the man can work. I'm going to give him his due. Definitely one of my favorites in Ring of Honor. Shoot, even on the same side of that, BJ Whitmer, if we're going back in the days. Give BJ some love. Cheeseburger. Who doesn't love cheeseburger?
Double cheeseburger.
And boys, I think I'm down to one more. I want to go somebody current, somebody who I really, really believe can be something real big if he goes to the right spot. Which, in my opinion, is New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm giving it up to Brody King. Ooh. I think we are honestly looking at the reincarnation of the one and only Bruiser Brody.
Wow.
If he was to go to Japan, that's the shoes he would fill in, and I doubt he'd have any issues following in them.
That's good.
We've already got a taste of it. He's working with New Japan Strong, but he has worked New Japan in Japan as well too, and you get that reaction from the crowd of seeing what he looks like and walking out there and getting in the ring, especially compared to some of the smaller stature wrestlers that are in New Japan, and you could see in the crowd oh wow, look at this, like he's a callback to another era. I've said that on other shows. He's one of my top 5 favorites in the industry today, for sure. But yeah, that's spot on assessment. I love that pick.
All right, so now we're gonna get to my 5 here, and I'm gonna start off with someone that Jovan just recently talked about, and that's Matt Taven. Much for the same reasons as I love the way he works. I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for, and I'm in the minority while I don't feel like it was the right way to go, at Supercard of Honor, but I was very happy when he won the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship because I felt like it's something that was well deserved because he'd spent a lot of time and put a lot of years in that. So I'm going to go with Matt Taven. My next one, I'm going to go with someone who is probably about as far back. It kind of goes back to when I started getting into Ring of Honor, and he's, kind of floundering right now in the WWE, rumored to be leaving once his contract expires. I'm going to go with Mr. Wrestling Kevin Steen. I just thought he was basically the Ring of Honor. I guess you would call him Ring of Honor's version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And given the right, push, he could be that in the WWE, but we all know what, they're doing with him and stuff and that. But I mean, he did not give a shit. I mean, he had classics with, with and against El Generico, aka Sami Zayn. Which I think if we ever do an episode on rivalries, don't be surprised if I bring up Steen and Generico / or Owen Zayn, however you want to put it.
Olay.
Yeah, and stuff. Keep shout out to El Generico. Keep saving the orphans down in Mexico. And that, but I just love, the classics he had, with, Generico, and Final Battle, Ladder War, and everything. I mean, I was a huge fan of the group Scum, where, I actually bought, off of eBay, I bought like a DVD that encompassed the whole rivalry, between Ring of Honor and Scum, because it was something that always intrigued me when I would follow Ring of Honor online, and I never really got a chance to sit down and watch, kind of how it played out and everything. So that would be my second one, Kevin Steen. My third one, I'm going to go with the guy who I'm repping on my t-shirt here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know who I'm talking about. But if you're listening to this on, your on an audio platform, that would be one Dalton Castle. I mean, I just, when I first saw him, I really did not know what to think of him. But, man, he is entertaining as hell. I mean, he can wrestle. He can cut a promo. I mean, he's one of those guys. He's can basically do anything you ask. He can do commentary. He can manage. He can wrestle. I mean, he's got the boys and stuff. And, I mean, just everything about it, his entrances are just so much fun. I guess, for lack of a better term, they're flamboyant. But,
since you use that for him, DJ, real quick, I'm going to cut in right there. I think Dalton Castle is this era's flamboyant Eric Embry. I think Dalton took that and just ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah. And if you've ever met him, like I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of years ago when he did a signing at the Pro Wrestling Tea Store, and he was in character the whole time, but he was great. I had this shirt on when I met him, and he actually wrote on the photo he signed by me. He signed it to me, and he wrote as an inscription. He wrote like "fantastic shirt" and stuff. So I just all around just fun guy, and I just think he's entertaining as hell. And he's someone who I hope finds work elsewhere, because I think I really feel like he's got so much more to give to this business. So we're kind of getting down to the nitty gritty here. My fourth one is someone who I think I've talked to you guys about, who I'm a huge fan of. And I actually had the pleasure of being able to interview him on my old podcast, What Do You Say with DDJ? And that's the wrestling's last real man, Silas Young. He is just basically a throwback to the old school, like real, man's man, just goes in there and wrestles. He's basically all man. He doesn't, he's basically like he's a real man's man. He's like, when you think of a man, you think of Silas Young. And I mean, he's former two-time Ring of Honor television champion. He just had a really great last man standing match with Josh Woods recently. And he can go. And I mean, just having a chance to talk with him and get to know him and stuff, it just really made me appreciate him that much more. And the stuff that he had to endure, like that he fought through, and that he, how wrestling helped basically save his life, because, he he had a drug problem back in the day, and the wrestling training kind of helped him kick that habit. And I just thought it was an amazing story. And just, again, he's someone that I don't think really gets a lot of love, from the fan base, but I just feel like he really should, because I think he's a lot better than, what people sit out there and say. So now for my last one, like I said, there's so many guys out there and stuff, but I'm going to go with someone who I've talked about and I'm still not done. I'm going to be talking about later on through the show. I'm going to go with Jay Lethal. I just feel like, what this guy has really been the backbone of Ring of Honor these past few years. He basically, when he came to Ring of Honor, I believe after he left Impact, he stepped right in, worked his way up. Again, I talk about his fantastic run with both the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship and the Television Championship, where I believe he held both titles simultaneously for pretty close to, I want to say, a year or so. And that's something you don't really see a lot of in this business nowadays. It's just, he's one of those guys that just cannot have a bad match. He could go out there and wrestle a broomstick or, an inflatable blow up doll a la Kenny Omega and DDT, and just, put out a 5-star worthy match. So, yeah, so I'm my last the guy. And again, much like Joey K said, we could do this tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now, and I may have some differences in my 5, but those are just like, when I think of Ring of Honor, those are my 5 favorites there. So recently we talked about on the show we talked about the 4 pillars of AEW, and we went into discussion about who our 4 pillars of New Japan Pro Wrestling was, and I thought that sparked a lot of interesting conversation. And this next topic here was brought up by our very own hot one here. So, gentlemen, we talked about AEW. We talked about this when it came to New Japan. Who are the 4 pillars of Ring of Honor? And since hot one, since you came up with this, why don't you lead it off? Who are your 4 pillars of Ring of Honor?
All right, gentlemen. For me, the WWE slogan of then, now, and forever plays into who I think pillars should be.
Yep.
It's a perfect way to encapsulate it. So for then, give me the longest reigning ROH champion of all time, Samoa Joe. Give me that day one till the end date, the Briscoes, for my second. For the now, the man who put this company's pure division on his back and brought it back to wrestling. I can't tell you guys how many sleepless nights I've spent here in Dallas watching TV when out of nowhere I see a promotion for it. Do you love pure wrestling? You will love Ring of Honor Pure Division. Just the Pure Division was being focused on. Not Ring of Honor, the Pure Division. And for that, Jonathan Gresham, that's my 3rd pillar. For the last one, forever. This has to be a name that through the records of history is going to echo throughout those hollowed halls. This has to be somebody in my mind that's going to make eventually that Mount Rushmore of wrestling. I have 2 options here, but I'm going to go with the one that I think is better suited. The American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, is my 4th pillar.
I like that. So to recap, you had recap us real quick, Jay. Who are your 4 pillars?
Samoa Joe, the Briscoes, Jonathan Gresham, and Bryan Danielson.
Excellent. For Joey K, you're up.
Well, that's hard to follow because he literally picked my 4 pillars. So actually, each and every single one would be my top tier.
Damn.
For probably all the same reasons too. I do have a couple other side picks. So going with saying my answers would be the same as Jovan. I'll mix it in as pillar 1A, 1B style. If I put in the American Dragon, I also have to put in Nigel McGinnis. Held the pure title for, was it 350 days? And this is the original pure title, not since it's come back or anything like that. It was new. And McGinnis is underrated. Some fans know him as a voice on NXT and NXT UK. But his in-ring career cut short due to injury. However, that in-ring career was pretty damn amazing. And I think go back and watch, was it their second match? Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGinnis. Man, if you ask me on a random question, top 5 favorite matches, and just go, that's probably going to be on there. Nigel McGinnis is underrated just because of the short span of his career. Really made a name for himself in Ring of Honor for the pure division, but then incorporated that British strong style and brought it to the US, particularly the East Coast with Ring of Honor. So he would be, if I have a 1A and 1B, McGinnis has to go there on the side where Bryan Danielson is. The Briscoes, I can't say there's another tag team that's synonymous with Ring of Honor that I would put on there. And just for the longevity, for everything they've done for that company through every up and down, the Briscoes stay on. I don't think that anybody else can really match that. Samoa Joe, one of the most dominant champion runs of any major company out there. Particularly his work in Ring of Honor, a young Samoa Joe, a very scary and dominating looking Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor. I'd encourage anyone to catch any DVDs, go on YouTube, watch some old school stuff from him. Amazing. But for that, I would also have to give a 1B and put Kevin Steen on there. Kevin Steen, you hit the nail on the head earlier when this was said, which Kevin Steen was stone cold non-WWE. He had the attitude, he had the style, and that's a guy who just love it. I mean, there's nothing I can't say more about. And when he came into NXT, I was so hopeful for getting that Kevin Steen style, even though of course the name changed, Kevin Owens, but main roster Kevin Owens. It's sad to see that somebody so talented in Ring of Honor, so amazing, so absolute. You talk about must-see TV. Steen was it, to be downgraded so much by the WWE. It's painful. It hurts to watch, and I do hope when his contract's up that he goes to a company like AEW or an Impact where he can bring back that Kevin Steen. I mean, look at Bryan Danielson. He brought back the American Dragon, and it is amazing to watch. And I would love to see Steen do the same thing. And I know the other pick, Jonathan Gresham, is if I had a current, yes, Gresham, but for a 1B on that, Brody King. Brody King is hands down the best big man in the business right now, in my opinion, and I'll stand by that. Extremely athletic, extremely dominant, terrifying, has one of the best finishers in the business. I kind of shot on that already last week when I talked about an underrated finisher, because the Gonzo bomb is so devastating looking. It brings a sense of very like that 90s All Japan realism to current day product. I love it. I think it's amazing. So yeah, that's Javon. I can't say enough. I mean, you really stole all my picks right from me for what I would put on as my as my 4 pillars.
So I've got my 4 ready to go, and I've got a feeling like 3 of them I think you guys are gonna be on board with. one, you may not be as much, but maybe when I explain to you, hopefully you guys will come around.
If you put cheeseburger on your pillars, I'm walking out.
As good as the cheeseburger sounds right about now, and I'm talking like a good hearty Red Robin cheeseburger with bottomless fries.
Stop.
Campfire sauce. Campfire sauce, baby.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Red Robin.
We are
But
going Robin.
Red Robin, if you're listening, we'd love to have you be a
Hit us
sponsor.
up.
So, but let's go into it. I kind of like divided mind and kind of almost in the same mindset Javon went to, then, now, and forever, and stuff. So it's going to be kind of a little bit of that way. I've got, so like my first one was kind of one of, I feel like the first real big mainstream stars to come out of Ring of Honor. And I believe he was already mentioned. That's CM Punk. I mean, he was like really the first real big breakout star, that would go on to achieve notoriety, elsewhere in the world of pro wrestling. I didn't really get a chance to see a lot of what he did in Ring of Honor because it was before my time. I'm definitely going to go check out some of the stuff on YouTube with like him and Joe and him. And I know Austin Aries had some really good matches and that. So my first pillar is going to be Punk because I feel like he was like that first real like big name, for Ring of Honor that would go on to do great things. My second name is someone who you both have already talked about, and they're, like you said, they've been there basically to steal line from the Usos since day one, and that's the Briscoes. I mean, you really can't talk about Ring of Honor with, especially when it comes to their tag teams, and not talk about the Briscoes because they are the greatest tag team in Ring of Honor history. And I mean, again, everything goes down as is. I really would love to see the Briscoes show up on AEW because I think they could do some really good things. Third pick, I kind of have the same mindset, like especially now when someone asks me, when I think of Ring of Honor, who do you think of? And this next guy is that person, and that is Jay Lethal. I mean, he's kind of been that, that flag bearer, like basically the franchise for Ring of Honor these past few years and stuff. And he with the stuff he was doing with the championships, what he's doing now with the foundation and stuff. I just feel like when I think of Ring of Honor, he's usually the first name I pop up. Now, my last one, hear me out before you start trashing me.
Here we go.
I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes. And this is why. Because when you think about it, when he came in, he was part of the I don't know if you want to call it campaign, path, whatever, that basically I think took Ring of Honor to its peak in terms of where it's been in the world of professional wrestling. Talk about its popularity, and again, talk about All Out, and we talked about earlier, would Ring of Honor could have become what AEW is had they kept Cody. And I just feel like even though he wasn't there for maybe about 2 years or whatever, I just feel like his time in there and everything, I think had a really big impact, not only on, Ring of Honor at the time and what it did for Ring of Honor, but just what he did, especially when it came to All Out, just kind of laying the foundation for what we're getting now with AEW. I feel like, again, these are my 4 picks. You guys can, trash me, whatever you want, because Jovan looks like he's about ready to and stuff. But like I'm going to go with Cody as my 4th pillar.
How are you going to pick the man who destroyed Ring of Honor as a pillar of Ring of Honor? And I'm a Cody fan, very well noted Cody fan. I love Cody, big time fan of Cody. But you can't make the man a pillar of the company that he essentially put out of business.
But was it his fault though?
Yes.
How is this his fault if if Sinclair chose not to re-sign him? They could have thrown the money at him to keep him from going to AEW.
From creating, not going, creating AEW. This is something that was in the works behind the scenes. It's something that they validated when they let them do All In. Something like that, you have to hear rumbles of behind the scenes, behind the curtains. People knew what they were wanting to do, and the fact that they didn't give them that new contract kind of speaks to that. And then they go out and do it. Why? What happens? I think they let them do that because, hey, when they fall on their face, they'll come back to us at a cheaper rate because they're figuring out they're not who they thought they were. But then you make this grand show and you go from undesirable to unfucking deniable like Cody Rhodes did. Come on, man. I don't. He killed ROH. At least he was one of the many issues that killed ROH. He killed ROH in the present day, but ROH has killed himself a lot, you know.
I love you, bro. I respect your opinion, but I'm sticking by what I said.
I love that about you.
All right. All right.
He's over there. He doesn't want to say anything.
I can't. You know, I love Cody. I really do. But as one of the pillars of Ring of Honor, that's a DDJ pick. I can't get on that one. Not when you look at the history of Ring of Honor and see the talent and champions who have come from Ring of Honor and made names for themselves and made promotions better over the years. We're talking your CM Punks, your Bryan Danielson, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. The list goes on. Jay Lethal. You know, from guys like the Briscoes. How about Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish?
Red Dragon.
How about Roderick Strong?
Adam Cole, since we're talking Undisputed Era.
Adam Cole. Since we're talking Undisputed. Yeah, the Undisputed Era doesn't happen and boost NXT the way it did, because let's be honest, the Undisputed Era carried NXT for 2 years. Without Ring of Honor.
But gentlemen, that's the best part of wrestling, though. We all have our different opinions. We all see differently. But unlike the IWC, which is toxic, we could just shake it off and be like, I don't agree, but you like what you like.
Exactly.
And that's what I love about you guys. You guys, you know, may not agree with it, but you respect it.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's all right. So our last topic that we're going to discuss here, and again, we're coming up on over an hour and 15 minutes and stuff, and that's just on 4 topics, and it just speaks to the passion that we've all had, you know, for pro wrestling, especially with the, you know, Ring of Honor and stuff. So when it boils all right down to it, you know, when the final nail in the coffin of Ring of Honor, or the final chapter in the book of Ring of Honor is written, there's going to be one person that's going to be, when you sit back and you look at, you know, the entire history of Ring of Honor, you say that this person is Ring of Honor, this person is Mr. Ring of Honor, or this person is Mrs. Ring of Honor. Although really, I don't think any of us are going to have that, just because, you know, I'm trying to be, you know, be appropriate for both sides, whatever, you know, I'm trying to play to all the, you know, our audience, you know, members, our fans, our shooters, as we like to call them and stuff. But the last question that we're going to talk about here is, who is Mr. Ring of Honor? And I want to start this one off because I want to kind of let Joey K be the last to go, because we're going to give Joey K the bulk of this last part of the show, because again, he's our resident Ring of Honor guy. He's the most passionate when it comes to Ring of Honor, and I just feel like, well, it's the best for this show for Joey K to kind of take us home in all of this and stuff. So I'm going to start this off. I just mentioned it a few minutes ago when I was talking about my pillars. When I think of Ring of Honor, I think of this guy here, and it's just because he's done so much for the company, especially through the latter part of this years. And to me, Mr. Ring of Honor is Jay Lethal. I feel like Jay Lethal, again, everything he's done with his runs with the world title, the TV title, the leading the foundation, you know, the stuff that he did with, you know, Matt Taven. I mean, hell, he was co-main evented Madison Square Garden, you know, with Matt Taven and Marty Scurll, you know, and they, you know, along with Jay White and Kazuchika Okada. I mean, you go back, let's say 4-5 years ago, nobody would have ever thought that we would see Jay Lethal main event a Ring of Honor show come in Madison Square Garden. It's just, to me, I just feel like I hear Ring of Honor, Jay Lethal is the first person I think of. Hot one, who do you got?
Jay Lethal is a great pick, man.
Glad I redeemed myself.
For my Mr. Ring of Honor, I'm going Cody Rhodes. No, I'm not.
I hate you right now.
Who's my Mr. Ring of Honor, man? I think I was leaning Lethal, but yeah, I can't really think of anybody that's gonna take over that spot for me, man. I'm going Jay Lethal as well. DDJ, that was a really good pick. That was where I was leaning towards, and I can't get off of it. So Jay Lethal.
All right, Joey K.
A lot of thought, but I'm actually going to deviate from you boys. To me, Mr. Ring of Honor, that title goes to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is what a lot of people forget, the true person who popularized an MMA style in professional wrestling. Now, I know we've had, prior to Samoa Joe, we had guys like Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn, come to the US and especially in WWE, NWA, and Severn's case as well too, from the MMA world to professional wrestling. But the first guy to really transition and make that style something that sticks and stays, and now you have guys like a Chris Dickinson, who I mentioned earlier. You have guys like a Kyle O'Reilly, who I've mentioned tonight as well too. Make them into primetime players. You also have somebody who Ring of Honor put
millions of dollars.
Ring of Honor put their faith in a guy who held their title for 645 days.
Wow.
In the modern era of professional wrestling, that's unheard of. Something unheard of until really recently. I mean, where we had Walter with the NXT UK title.
Nick Aldis with the NWA title.
Nick Aldis with the NWA title. Again, another throwback. If it's not common, but and especially at the time in the early 2000s, absolutely not common. We were coming from the Attitude Era, where you didn't know when a title change was going to happen on a random Monday Night Raw. And that time frame, it was such a throwback, such a callback, and especially for the style that he presented, for everything that he did, really revolutionized to give us a more modern, realistic type take in professional wrestling. That shoot fighting style that a lot of guys have attempted, and I'd be remiss to say not a lot of guys can pull off. You have to have the character. You have to have the personality. You have to be a little bit of that person. I think Stone Cold said it best when he was asked about his character. It's just like, hey, it's just me. I'm just turning all the volume all the way up to 11. And that's Samoa Joe. And to me, if I have to pick one as a Mr. Ring of Honor, Samoa Joe's that guy. We didn't get the nearly almost 20 years of Ring of Honor that we've had without Samoa Joe carrying that championship for so long, being that dominating champion, having wars with guys like Bryan Danielson, guys like Nigel McGinnis, guys like, the list goes on. It's just so many. So to me, that's where he's going to stay. He's going to be my Mr. Ring of Honor as I look back through the years.
Beautiful.
Great take there. And I'm just going to throw out a 1A there, since you did it with the, the pillars. To me, if I didn't go with Jay Lethal, I'd honestly probably go with another Jay, and that would be Jay Briscoe, because I believe Joey K mentioned, was it the second match on the first show he was on?
Yep. Second match of the night.
So he's basically one of the, if not the, I believe he may be the only one that was on that very first show that's still with the company, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I believe so. I believe you are correct on that.
And to me, I mean, again, that doesn't epitomize, what the a representation or embodiment of Ring of Honor is. Like you said, again, if it wasn't for Jay Lethal, and actually I almost went with Jay Briscoe just because for that fact. So just throwing that out there as a 1A. So that's basically everything we got for tonight in terms of topics we're going to discuss. But we're gonna Jay and I are gonna turn it over to Joey K to just reflect, share some memories, and just talk about what Ring of Honor meant to him. So, Premier, the floor is yours.
Appreciate that. I'm not gonna go full heel character because, to be perfectly honest with you,
I don't want to have to add that in the SpongeBob time cards again.
Exactly. When I saw the news breaking about what was going on with Ring of Honor this week, I was beyond disappointed. So for me, Ring of Honor is a couple different things. Number one, Ring of Honor, and I know there's going to be an argument for this as far as CZW goes, but Ring of Honor to me was the true renaissance of professional wrestling in South Philadelphia. CZW really emulated what ECW was, but Ring of Honor, now granted, as a Baltimore-based company, however, they ran that first show ever in Philadelphia in the ECW arena, and now the 2300. They ran so many shows in Philadelphia, it has become synonymous. In fact, the shirt I'm wearing tonight, Ring of Honor, released for Glory by Honor Night 1 and 2 in the original ECW style barbed wire lettering. And for a lot of Philly wrestling fans, Ring of Honor filled that void of not having pro wrestling. And I was one of those guys that it filled that void for, because it brought something to the table that we weren't seeing. And it was more reminiscent, and ECW is always thought back on as, blood and guts, violence, chair shots to the head,
flaming tables,
the ultra violence that you think of. But for me, growing up with ECW having guys like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho, great technical talents through the years. It's not just all about blood and guts. And to me, so that's where Ring of Honor became the true renaissance for Philadelphia professional wrestling. When you would see guys like a young Bryan Danielson, you would see a guy like Nigel Mcginnis, who, again, like I said earlier, a career cut short by multiple injuries, but the guy went out there and had some of the hardest hitting matches coming through injuries that you'll ever see. That really encapsulated it. And for me, that was a big turning point for my fandom of Ring of Honor. And then through the years, seeing the talent come up, and you can always tell some of these guys are going to do big things. A guy like Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, you could see he's going to be a star. Guys like Samoa Joe, guy like CM Punk, I mentioned earlier. CM Punk considered a legend in this business right now, and without that Ring of Honor run, he doesn't have that, in my opinion. Guys who've made names for themselves, a guy like Homicide, he found a home in Ring of Honor and will always be synonymous with that. Whoever your favorite wrestler is on the show right now, you can thank Ring of Honor for that. Because somewhere along the line, they had a hand in it. Whether they had them on some shows, whether they were a champion there, or whether their best matches came from somebody from Ring of Honor. It's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon you can do with Ring of Honor for any current talent right now in the world. And another thing, live wrestling shows to me are hit or miss. I've been tons. I've been to pay-per-views. I've been to WWF, WWE. I've been to WCW events. I've been to local indie shows. I've been to plenty of shows. However, in all my time, there really isn't this includes even AEW, and I know I've spoken about that first AEW Philly show and how much that meant to me and how important that was, but there is nothing in this world that compares to the live crowd out of Ring of Honor show. It is a place where real fans of wrestling, you can go to a WWE show and half the crowd's wearing John Cena shirts, half the crowd's wearing Roman Reigns shirts. You see a few, random shirts here and there.
Every other person's wearing a title belt on their shoulder.
Exactly, right? But you go to a Ring of Honor show, and there are fans from the guys who are opening the show to main eventing the show. I have, I'll talk about this. I'll touch on some of this too. The Honor Club girls, they are Team Taven, OGK for life. And you know what? I love it. I think it's awesome. I have a really good friend. If there is not, I don't know a bigger fan of Shane Taylor Promotions, STP out there than her. And it's awesome. And I love that. I love seeing, going to shows with my brother, who is a diehard Ring of Honor fan, who took this news very difficult as well, too. And he loves Bandito, loves Roosh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something for everyone. And whether you go there and you support the talent, how many signs did we see this summer for Sign Tony Deppen? I have one here. I've showed it on the show. We're on camera holding them up, cheering. That you get behind the talent there, and they're so gracious. They're so great about it. I don't know if I said this. So the last Ring of Honor show I went to, I found this very strange. When I went to Death Before Dishonor and pay-per-view back in September, and Lethal and kind of closed out the show and had a really great speech. Actually, no, he didn't close it out. He was in the middle of the show. But then Gresham came out and closed out the show. And a lot of the Ring of Honor crew came out, the talent. And I thought this was odd. But being ringside, Gresham comes around and, everybody's, hey, high-fiving them, shaking hands. Hey, can I get a picture? Very gracious, and he came over to me. I said, man, I love your stuff. Amazing. He appreciated that. I said, you mind if I get a picture? No problem. Took a picture with him, and he looked at me dead in my face and said, thank you for coming to the show. I've never had another professional wrestler at any show I've been to, and I've been to countless shows, walk up to me and say, genuinely, thank you for coming to the show.
The only time I think I've ever had that is at an indie show. Like never, a big time show or anything. But yeah, no, like I said, that you said that, and I thought of the indie shows that I've been to. So I really like that.
I had that happen from DDJ's pillar of AEW, Cody Rhodes.
Cody did say that to me too when I met Cody at an AEW show as well too. Now that I think about it, but it was a very different vibe with Gresham. That's what I'm getting at. And I don't know if the writing was on the wall at that point, but it was a very cool experience. And that sums up my experience with Ring of Honor. Is there is something for everyone there. There always has been. You have one of the most underrated rosters in all of professional wrestling. As much as we talk incessantly about the Forbidden Door and AEW signing talent and WWE releasing talent and who's going to what company next, Ring of Honor through the years has been consistent with every era and incarnation they've had. And for me, this one really stands out because this one felt different. This one felt like the culmination of a lot of years of work to bring up men and women, really amazing talent, and put on epic shows and performances. Nothing beats a live crowd with them. I said this earlier, and I wanted to really quick touch on it. They handled the pandemic era of professional wrestling the best, hands down. They took care of the performers. They didn't cut anybody during the pandemic.
Nope.
They didn't make any moves to affect the livelihood. They've always been very open about their contracted wrestlers performing in other companies as well too. They've been great about a lot of things, and I think that's been missing in pro wrestling. So we might have started this show off by saying, like, where did it all go wrong and things that Ring of Honor should have done better, could have done different, and as a whole. I'll say this: they did right by a lot of this talent getting through the hardest period. And if this is the time when they're shutting down and they released all their wrestlers from contract, good on them for making it through one of the most difficult eras of professional wrestling that we've ever seen. And good on them for doing this at a time when the business is coming back, live shows are coming back, more fans have eyes on products. Companies like GCW, companies like MLW, even indie promotions, Northeast Wrestling up here. Smaller promotions are making big waves and having great shows everywhere. And they've given their talent a lot of opportunity to get on some of these bigger shows and get signed. I know there's some rumors floating around about AEW scooping up a handful of Ring of Honor talent. And I hope that's true. I really do, because these guys deserve it. They all deserve it. Every single person on that roster. And to see them perform live was something that I will always carry. Every time they come to Philly the past few years, that's my go-to. And this is why I've talked about it, whether it was on this show, on a previous podcast I was on. I was always pro Ring of Honor. That was my team, and I feel loyal to them. They always did right by the fans, in my opinion, for the product they put on. And nothing will ever beating that barricade with your hands until I feel like they're going to fall off, screaming until I had no voice left, because that's the kind of cheering that you do at a Ring of Honor show. Throwing streamers in the ring at your favorite talent. It's just every aspect of their shows were amazing, and I can't say enough. I'm very happy to have been such a fan through this entire Ring of Honor era. I think they've left their mark on the professional wrestling world. So whatever incarnation comes back, if they ever come back, and I do hope I do truly hope that something comes back, whether it's April or sometime in 2022 when they're expecting. I hope an incarnation comes back. It'll be different. It'll be something else. It's not going to be what it is now or what it has been. I appreciate that. I'll still look at the product and I'll still probably get into it. But to be truthful with you, this is the end of an era. And I would encourage anybody, go back, watch the Pure Tournament from 2020. Watch Summer of Punk 05. Watch Samoa Joe's title run. Watch Adam Cole, his run in Ring of Honor. Anything with the Briscoes is always always noteworthy to watch. The Madison Square Garden Supercard, that amazing show. And again, yes, putting the title on Taven, I think it was the wrong call at that time, but it's still an amazing show. That was an amazing ladder match. So many great things, so many great moments and memories from Ring of Honor. But really, I'm mostly disappointed because that's been something. There's a big age difference between me and my brother. He's a lot younger than I am. And so growing up, I was already a teenager as he was a kid, and going on and starting to live my own life a little bit. But now that we're adults, we both have a passion for pro wrestling. We're both super fans. And one of, I guess, the most enjoyable parts is like the experience of having that with my brother and having fun. So that's the part I'm probably going to miss the most. Sucks. I know we go to AEW shows, we go to other stuff too, but nothing beats that Ring of Honor crowd. Nothing beats that Ring of Honor experience.
Well put. And one of the last things I want to say before we call it a night is just that you think about the legacy of ECW, and just because you can still see the fingerprints of ECW, and you could, to this day. And I think that's one of the reasons why ECW is still, talked about, amongst the, fans today, because again, its fingerprints are out there. I think you could say the same thing about Ring of Honor, because we talk about all the talent that has come through Ring of Honor and that's gone on to do great things elsewhere. You mentioned, Punk and Danielson. We talk about, Tyler Black, doing that with his thing now with Seth Rollins, Adam Cole, what he did in NXT and what he's starting to do in AEW. You talk about what, Steen and Generico have done. I mean, just everywhere and stuff. And it's just like, and I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to really, when it comes to the legacy of Ring of Honor, is that fans are going to be able to see that for the next, 15, 20 years or so, because guys that have got their start in Ring of Honor. You look at the guys like the Eli Isoms and the Dak Drapers, once they finally start hitting their stride and go on to do big things. Where do they get their start? Ring of Honor. You talk about Jonathan Gresham. Yeah, Jovan brought up Roxy, the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. You just like, when she's only 19 years old. I mean, so she's a baby when it comes to this business. And just, when you look at her, let's say 15, 20 years from now, people are going to ask, where did she get her start? Ring of Honor. So the legacy of Ring of Honor, I think, is in a really good place, because it's, with all the talent that's going to be out there that's just starting to hit their stride, the veterans that are out there doing their thing now and will continue to do their thing. So I just think, I followed it on TV. I'd watch some of the shows. I'd follow it online and stuff. But I mean, it's a one of a kind thing that, will we ever see it again as it was? Probably not. But I mean, for, lack of a better term, I'm going to steal, from the lyric, thanks for the memories, because there are a lot of good memories there. So, Jay, before we call it a night, you got anything you want to add?
Gentlemen, there's only one way to wrap up tonight, and I'm going to channel Dusty Rhodes. So if you're watching this on the video stream, I want you to do this with us. If you're listening to this on the audio stream, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, shooters, reach out. Shootin' Sh gives you the code of honor. We expect it back. We love you, Ring of Honor.
Thank you, Ring of Honor. All right, guys.
Hey, one quick note before we wrap here. Going to the last show, Final Battle, December 11th, Saturday. It's in Baltimore. We got tickets. I'll be ringside, so I couldn't pass that one up. We definitely needed to go. If they're going out, and I know a lot of these guys are going to go out with a bang, so I'm excited to see it. I hope you guys watch it. Or if you can make it out, let's go. Let's if we can get there, maybe we can do something a little live from the show. That would be fun. Very hopeful.
I'll be there.
Fingers crossed. Jovan, you're the man. Let's go. DDJ, we got to get you on a plane. We got to get you to Baltimore, buddy. So we'll see what we can do.
On it.
All right. So I'm going to be there live. One last hurrah. So if you see me there, let's celebrate. Let's shed some tears together for Ring of Honor. But let's have a really great time, because it's going to be an amazing show that night.
You know what, shooters? If you see us, beer us, baby.
Let's go.
Beer us like that. And again, thanks for listening. We hope you really enjoyed this show, because this is our 10th episode. Probably, I'd say, out of all the episodes we've done, I think this has probably been our most passionate one. And again, because it's, Ring of Honor is a big part of our lives, because, it's part of this thing we love called professional wrestling and that. So, but as always, guys, you can reach out. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see how you can reach out to us on social media, via Facebook and Twitter. For those of you who are listening to this, on like Apple Podcast or Spotify, our socials will be in the episode description. Go check out our Teespring store. Our resident t-shirt designer, the Hot One, has got some really great designs there. Guys, by the time this episode drops, it will no longer be. It'll be in November, but we're gonna come up. We're gonna have a charity that we're gonna support for November. So buy a shirt. A portion of the proceeds will go to that charity, and once we have that charity, we will let you guys know. Again, if you have anything you want us to talk about, please feel free to reach out to us. You can follow the show on Twitter as well too, and again, all our socials, everything will be on the episode description as well as our Twitter and stuff. So, gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much for listening to this episode. This has been Shootin' Shit. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Follow the show on Twitter at SHOOTINSHT, and thanks for listening.